Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show. It's just me on my own today, which is a shame because Graham would have absolutely loved to have been here to break down not just the Man United win, but the Chelsea win as well. But he will be back for next week to talk about the West Ham game. Hopefully another win. We will see how that goes. Because quite frankly, you just can't predict what Arsenal are going to do these days. But we've got a lot to get into. And I touched there on the Chelsea result as well, because having not done a Tactical Insight Show, and also there being, let's say, certain tactical tweaks and things that Arteta did, post Southampton, going into the Chelsea Man United game, I think it is worth discussing not only what we did to get the 3 points to the bridge, but how we learnt from that going into the Man United game. Because, it's been a chaotic week for Arsenal, but a week in which they found 6 points. When I say chaotic, I mean more in performances. I mean more in the way Arsenal took the game to United and Chelsea in ways I didn't think they would. So we can all sit and indulge in that for the next 20, 30 minutes. As always, we've been doing that for the last 2-3 shows. We are live on YouTube. Send in your comments. Any questions you got, send them in. And we'll try to answer as many as possible. We'll try to break this up as much as we can. I see people from around the world already tuning in, and that's what I love about doing these live shows with you guys, not only on AFTV but on social media as well. Right, let's get straight into it, because there is a lot to break down. I'm going to take you all the way back to Stamford Bridge. We'll look at the formations and the way Arsenal approached this against Chelsea. But let's start with the match stats, because where better place to look. And we got them here. A 4-2 win at the Bridge that was thoroughly deserved. 14 shots to Chelsea's 11 for Arsenal, doubling the amount they had on target as well. They had much more of the ball, but we did a lot more with it. And as you can see, more than double the amount of passes as well. But we registered a higher XG. And that's, not only reflected in the attempts we had, but also the quality of the attempts. Arsenal were the better side at the Bridge. Arsenal were brave and pressed despite the tactical tweaks they made and the times that they did have to sort of dig deep and hold on and find that grit to get through. Let's go to the Man United stats now, because again, 14 shots, more on target, but it was, I don't want to say it was more punch for punch. I thought the Chelsea game was pretty punch for punch in terms of it being a bit of a basketball game. But United had their chances and Arsenal rode their luck. I don't think the United performance was as good as the Chelsea performance. But we had more of the ball, we had more shots on target, we completed more passes, and we had a higher XG. And I think on the balance of play, looking it back, Arsenal probably did deserve it. A lot of United's better moments came from Arsenal's I'm not saying discipline at the back. Arsenal were pretty disciplined and pretty calm throughout. I think it came more from just the mistakes we made and trying to play we want to play. So there you go. Across both match stats, the numbers, if you look purely at that, obviously if you watch the game you get a slightly different picture, suggests that Arsenal were deserving winners in both. And I think they just about were. Which is why I'm going to go straight to the tactical pad and see how we managed to lose 3-0 at Crystal Palace, 2-1 at home to Brighton, who hadn't scored or won or whatever it was in so long. Then lose to Southampton, who just lost 6-0 to Chelsea. And then you put those two performances together, all within a couple of days, all at a really crucial time in the season, scoring 7 goals in the process. I mean, how do you even begin to break it down? We're going to try, because I really wish we had Graham here to do it. Just before I do go to the tactical pad, just very quickly, looking at the comment section on YouTube, get your comments in, get your questions in. Happy to answer as many as possible. Boss says, James, will you keep Elneny? I would, but not because of just what he's done the last 2 games. I mean, I think he's always been a very, very dependable squad player. And as you can see, he's filled in the last couple of games, done brilliantly. We will talk more about Mohamed Elneny. Matty says, hello from Singapore. Hi, Matt. I hope you're having a great time out in Singapore. What an amazing, what an amazing place. I don't know if you're, there living there or visiting, but Singapore, I've never even been, but everyone tells me it's class and I really want to go. But everyone from around the world is jumping in. That's what I love about these lives, as I said. Let's go straight to the tactical pad. Got them here, the starting 11s from the Chelsea and the United game. We're going to start with this Chelsea game. Chelsea went with their usual 3-4-3 shape. And we discussed it before on the starting 11 show before the Chelsea game, before a ball was kicked. Would Arsenal go for this sort of hybrid system where, yes, it's a 3-4-3, yes, Saka's the right wing back, and very often you did see him dropping in to make it, a tight back five, with Odegaard and Smith Rowe being very, very sort of condensed in the midfield four. But at the same time, Arsenal were expansive and went on the ball, went back to the principles we've known and loved for a lot of this season. And it looked something like this, if I just show you now. Slow that down a little bit. The shape looked something like this. As you can see, the players moving up the pitch. Rob holding on the ball. We didn't compromise on our principles too much. That's why I think the return of Tomiyasu is going to be huge. And again, we will talk about that in a bit. But what I thought was key was not only the return of this man, Mohamed Elneny, but just how tight he was alongside Granit Xhaka in the midfield. They made sure not to concede too much space. And so you always had this pretty condensed unit for Arsenal in front of goal. It allows Tavares to bomb on. It allows Saka to hold the width and attack and not worry too much about covering. And it's why we want someone like Ben White in there, and why Cedric was dropped, rested, whatever you want to call it for that game, because you've got a more natural centre-back / right-back sort of covering those defensive areas. So the game plan was to make sure we had, a dynamic but condensed midfield too, in Elneny and Xhaka, and a system that allowed Arsenal to be compact and flood the box defensively when they needed to, but also had Tavares getting forward and not worrying too much about the space he was vacating. Saka able to get forward, Odegaard and Smith Rowe playing, and these sort of hybrid number 10s or whatever it is, dropping into wide areas when they have to. It was a good shape and it worked, but he didn't stick with it for Man United. Let's have a little look at what he did do. So here are the 11s. Arsenal this time returned to more of a 4-2-3-1, and you've got Cedric there who's come back in at right back. I'm not just saying this. Go have a little look at the video on YouTube. When Cecil and I did the predicted 11, I wondered whether Cedric and both Martinelli as well would make surprise returns to the team. Martinelli didn't, but Cedric did. The reason I don't surprise you, I thought he'd want to take the game to Man United more. And the system looked something a little more like this. We're going to give Ben White the ball in a sec, move everyone into position, and there you have it. Cedric again, you're looking at him, he's not really an out-and-out kind of... he's not a centre-back. And he's not a right-back that can play as an inverted wing-back either. But he's often been asked to do that job. But what you had were players that when Cedric did want to get forward, which at times he did, and Saka wanted to come inside, you got Elneny who's able to cover. Likewise on the other side, you've got Xhaka who's able to cover that space when Tavares gets forward. But again, ultimately, it was a very, very condensed midfield. We'll show it here. A very condensed midfield that Xhaka and Elneny held, and we see that on one of the goals we score a little bit later. So those are how we lined up in terms of pure system, and you could see that Arteta, without compromising with his principles in either game, just tweaked it to ensure we had a little bit more protection, and I think Elneny was absolutely key to that, which is why we're going to talk about his numbers actually. Let's have a little look at them now, as I bring up... I've just lost them here. Let me just bring him up for a second. Apologies, guys. Here we are. Mohamed Elneny. Match stats. Pass accuracy of 87%. 5 progressive passes in the game. 3 box entry passes. 58 passes received. And 1 assist as well. Mohamed Elneny was crucial in both games. I think he came with a degree of experience and calmness. I think Lokonga's looked good in most of his appearances. I know he's had some bad moments. I know there's been some moments that Arsenal fans have been a bit sort of, you can see he's a bit raw, is he ready? But I think Mohamed Elneny has come in and just added that little bit of experience, that little bit of calmness, composure. He's been there and done it. He's gone to Old Trafford and won. He's played in the FA Cup. He's played in the Community Shield. He's been used in big games for Arsenal. And I think you could just see that when Arsenal really need to step up to the big boys, Chelsea and United, a player like Elneny was very comfortable doing that. And And I think bringing him in and having him alongside Xhaka and not just playing as so much of a lone pivot, I think was massive for Arsenal, finding a little bit of rhythm and control in midfield and taking a little bit of the weight off the youngsters. Now, I've just had a little bit of a technical issue, guys, so I'm just going to go and tidy that up and find out where everything is. That's the thing, when you're relying on technology, everything can be a little bit of a nightmare. So let me just get everything up, and we're nearly there. Brilliant. Right, so we've just spoken about Elneny, talked about how crucial he was. So was Granit Xhaka, and we're going to go through his standout stats as well, because this is a player who I've had a lot to say about. It's never personal, it's never about his character or his commitment. It's about what he gives us in midfield. But against Granit Xhaka, against Chelsea and Man United, I thought what he did on the ball, off the ball, in terms of his leadership, in terms of keeping that composure in midfield. He always looks like he has so much time on the ball. I think that's something we've seen the last year or two under Mikel Arteta. I think he was crucial as well. I gave him the man of the match at Stamford Bridge. Elneny was my man of the match against United. But let's have a look at some of these standout stats of Granit Xhaka. 68 completed passes, more than anyone else on the pitch. 8 final third entries, more than anyone else on the pitch. 6 long passes completed, again more than anyone else. And 15 final third passes and 3 attempted crosses, the third highest in the game as well. We're talking about a player who has really stepped up in the absence of Thomas Partey. I think he was playing very well before, to be fair, but alongside Elneny has really stepped up, and I've really enjoyed watching kind of his relationship with Elneny and how they've alternated, one pressing, one getting the ball off the defence, and how they've formed sort of a nice partnership. I think how many times have we said, I see it online, it's 2022 and here we are still with Xhaka and Elneny in midfield. But I don't think it's so much about whether there's a nice balance between them in terms of what they offer. It's more about kind of how we've used them and the setup around them. People have asked questions about whether maybe they pass backwards and sideways too much. But when you've got Odegaard, Smith Rowe and Nketiah dropping in, and there are natural passing lanes, you see that they are picking it out and they are controlling midfields. They didn't control the midfield as much as I'd have liked against United. I thought United did have some joy. But generally, they really stood up to the task. And when you can't control midfield, at least be robust and difficult to play through. And I felt they were. So well done to Elneny and Xhaka, who I thought were absolutely fantastic. Now to talk about the pass combinations we saw in the midfield, coming from Elneny. And one of the big things was how Elneny and Odegaard combined, and I've got the stats here on the pass combinations. Cedric found Odegaard 13 times in the game, Elneny found Odegaard 12 times, Odegaard found Saka 9 times, Cedric found Saka 6, and Xhaka found Smith Rowe 6 times as well. But the reason I'm mentioning this is to highlight how crucial Martin Odegaard has been, because while I'm waxing lyrical about Elneny and Xhaka's performances, Odegaard was crucial as well at Stamford Bridge and in this game against Man United. There was with Odegaard, he showed his class, in terms of retaining the ball, in terms of, some lovely combinations, the pass into Saka, but it is always the work rate as well. And it is the fact that you kind of see Arsenal, when they want to go forward with purpose, they're always looking for Odegaard. And to go back to what I said about Mohamed Elneny, there were times where Elneny had the ball and the pass wasn't on, so he dropped a shoulder, beat a man, and then would thread that ball into Martin Odegaard, because Odegaard's always looking for space and Elneny's always looking for that pass. I felt they combined better. As you can see, Xhaka to Smith Rowe only happened 6 times. I felt there was just a better understanding between the right-hand side a little bit, and a lot of it is because of Martin Odegaard and what he offers. He keeps that team ticking, and I enjoyed his performance again, and he does play those clever, intricate passes. He does play the reverse pass that a lot of people don't see coming. And I thought he put on a little bit of a clinic, the other day. And looking at how Bruno Fernandes played a comparison, I know he's in bad form, but you can see how Odegaard stitches it together, where Bruno Fernandes hasn't been doing that for Man United recently. So a word on Odegaard. I could have talked about his stats and his numbers a little bit more, but I just wanted to emphasise how crucial he is, because when you look at the combinations to the front four, it is Odegaard who's receiving it quite considerably more than Saka, Smith Rowe and Nketiah. And that's not because he plays a little bit deeper, so maybe that's exactly what you'd expect. But really, they all kind of are picking up the ball in similar areas and on kind of similar distances in the pitch. So Odegaard is, absolutely proving how crucial he can be, for linking up play. Right, let's go to the comment section. I can't say it's heavy doing this without Graham. I do miss him. And his insights as well. He'd love to have been here. A lot of the stuff here has come from Graham. He sent it in. He didn't stop him doing the work late on a Sunday night, sending in all the stats and the numbers. So, massive love to Graham, who couldn't be here today, but as always has contributed massively to the show. And there would be no shorts without him. Jcast, James, thoughts on the Conte to PSG links? We'll see what happens, but you never really know. What else? Everyone asking. Common says, hi James from England. There we go. See, we always have a big English audience as well. What else we got? A lot of questions on Elneny. Paul says, Tavares is a wing back, not a full back. Good going forward. Defending is scary. We are going to talk about Tavares as well. We absolutely need to. What else have we got? Gunner9 says, Man United will beat Chelsea. Yeah, that game, I believe, is coming up in the week. Anthony says, Chelsea without Rudiger aren't winning anything. I wouldn't rule them out, Chelsea. They're always winning stuff, aren't they? I think they've got another FA Cup final to enjoy. What else have we got? Sabik says, Tavares was such a liability at times. Yeah, we're going to talk about Tavares. I thought he did some nice things, and there were some moments he'll want to forget as well. And then Matty again says, great job, James. Doing a great job. Lots of love from Singapore. Thanks again, Matty. I'll keep checking in on the comments as well. But let's talk about that Granit Xhaka goal that wins us the game. And how better to talk about it than just to show it on the tactical pad. Now, what I'd say about this goal, if we just make the players a little bit smaller, is it kind of emphasises what Arsenal have been doing so well in the last couple games. What they've kind of showed throughout the season under Arteta, we've improved. I think the press has improved. I think Arsenal's intent going forward, the ability to sustain pressure has definitely improved. I think you see it in this goal. I'm just going to make it slightly faster. There we go. And we're going to break it down. So, Saka, appeal for a penalty, bounces off, it's cleared. Bruno Fernandes doesn't look after the ball, falls to Xhaka, and it's a lovely strike. So there's two things to talk about here. And we're going to go all the way back through it. So, slowing it down. When Telles clears the ball, or Varane clears the ball, and the ball's on its way out, Bruno Fernandes actually has quite a lot of space as the ball comes to him. We're not immediately on him, but we're alert. Elneny, Xhaka, Odegaard are alert. And when it falls to Fernandes, there are three players chasing him immediately. Odegaard's running back. Elneny's coming forward to press Fernandes. And Xhaka, I think, is there for the second ball in case someone does win it. And that's exactly what happens. So when it comes to Bruno and Elneny does win this ball and knocks it into Xhaka, he has been absolutely suffocated. It's not a great touch from Bruno Fernandes. He should do better. He should take a touch and clear it, or maybe Elanga's making a run wide, so take a touch and switch it or something. He's dispossessed too easily. If you're a United fan, you're really disappointed by that. But Elneny does very, very well. Arsenal do very, very well. They ask the question. They ask the question of Bruno Fernandes, how good is your touch? In this moment, back to goal, the ball's come at you and you weren't expecting it. How good is your first touch and your composure in that position? And if we had given him the space, he wouldn't have that question to answer, but we didn't. Elneny gets in and Xhaka with a lovely strike. Now, the second thing we've got to talk about with this goal, if we take it back to this frame, is Eddie Nketiah will show... Oh, forgive me here. Let me just get this right. We show the Man United players... And then we show Eddie Nketiah is offside. Why does the goal stand? Because according to, and I didn't know this rule, but according to the officials in the rule book, this player here, I'm going to highlight him in white, Victor Lindelof. Let's show him again. Victor Lindelof. Because he's in De Gea's eyesight, Eddie Nketiah, being in an offside position, isn't the only one obstructing De Gea. Lindelof would have been, so the goal can stand. So, Do we get a little bit fortunate with the goal? I think probably, because I think on another day that might be ruled out. But I understand the rule, and I want to see goals given. So brilliant. I'm glad that is the rule that's in place. Arsenal maybe get away with it a little bit. I think they definitely got away with it a little bit in that second half generally. I don't think we were playing very well. United hit the post, great save from Ramsdale. They missed the penalty. Ronaldo's offside with one of the goals, and there wasn't a lot in it. So I think we did ride our luck, absolutely. But Arsenal, I think, over the balance of play, deserved it, and what a brilliant goal. Let's have a little look. We've got a comment from Gunner9, says, fans think it was a tactical masterclass by Arteta. It's a big joke. I don't think it's a joke, but I'd agree that it wasn't a tactical masterclass by Arteta. I think we rode our luck, absolutely. But I definitely think the tactical tweaks he made in the Chelsea and the Man United game are a big part of why the levels improved so much from the 3 games that we lost. Let's talk about some of those refereeing decisions that absolutely went our way. Where do we start? I mean, Cedric, for me, it is a penalty. I think we got away with that one. The crawling and the handball. I think he knows what he's doing. We get away with that one. Elneny and the Tavares pull. I think it's just about not a penalty. I think it's really clumsy from Tavares, and I think he asks a question. But I think while he's put his arm on him, I don't know if he's necessarily pulled him back. So maybe we get away with that one. Bruno Fernandes, the penalty he missed, is it a handball from Tavares? Absolutely. The referee gets that one right, I think. Bruno Fernandes, the red card, should that have stood? Should it have been a red card? I think it should have been. So United and Bruno get away with that one. Eddie Nketiah's offside for his goal when he puts it in the back of there, but then Saka wins the penalty. I think it's a little soft, but probably the right decision. I think Telles is, with the Telles and Elanga ones, I think if either are given and if either are not given, you can kind of understand, and it's never going to be enough for VAR to overrule it. Although having said that, the ref goes to the monitor, so you could say VAR overruled it because the referee didn't go back and give the penalty straight after. He had to go look at the monitor. And then you can see Telles has quite clearly gone into the back of Saka, and he's not really looked to play the ball at all. So I think you've got to say that is a penalty. I'm trying to think if there's any more decisions. No, I mean, just another word on that Bruno Fernandes red card. I mean, I can't believe they've not given it. I mean, I've got to ask, I'd love to know, what's the explanation for it? And listen, I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm going to focus on this, where we could focus on the Cedric one, and United fans would be right to focus on that. But from an Arsenal perspective, I see Mason Mount early in the week, and I see it again with Bruno Fernandes. What are we trying to encourage in the game? Because Bruno Fernandes, the ball is long gone, and he keeps his studs in the air, and he catches Tavares really late, high as well, and it's not given. I don't know what message we're sending out by allowing these sort of challenges. He doesn't need to have his studs up. He doesn't need to have his foot in the air as long, and it's such a late challenge. Listen, I'll move on from it now because we won, and ultimately we had decisions go our way, and I'll always acknowledge that. But my word, Bruno's a very lucky guy, and he really had a bad game. Some other bits and bobs to discuss. Let's quickly just look at the comment section. Shaya says Arsenal over Man United, looking like it this season. Gunnar says the Arsenal penalty was soft. It can be soft, but doesn't mean it's not a penalty, and I think it ultimately was. Anthony says Arsenal very lucky in both games, not the Chelsea game. Actually, I don't think we were lucky in either. I think we rode our luck in the United game, but they did more than enough to lose it as well. Man United, they had their moments, but they weren't great. True, Arsenal created more chances in the Southampton game, but failed to score. Absolutely. What else have we got? Max is hi from Australia. Who do you think fits perfectly into the number 8 role? Seeing what Arteta's trying to build, we already have our own KDB and Odegaard. Listen, if Odegaard ever gets to half the level De Bruyne gets to, then we'll be loving him, because De Bruyne is an unbelievable player, and Odegaard's shown some real potential. But we do need another number 8 midfield. I agree, and we'll see who that will be come the summer. Let's move on to Nuno Tavares. I don't want to end on a negative. It's not really a negative, But just to talk about his performance very, very quickly, having a look at his numbers. Nuno Tavares, the highs and lows. 48 touches in the game, 6 touches in the opposition box, 1 possession back 4 times, had 3 shots on goal, 3 clearances, committed 3 fouls, conceded a penalty, probably could have been 2, and scored a goal. I thought his first half was very decent. I thought his second half was chaotic at best. But I think that the word is raw, isn't it? You know, he is a very raw footballer, and you can see the talent is there. And you can see he's also physically very gifted and very fast, very strong. I think he stands at 6 foot. Ask me after West Ham what I think, but I like him. I like Tavares. I think he is a little all over the place, but I think that's what makes him quite a good footballer going forward. You know, that effort when the ball's cut back to him and he drops the shoulder, he cuts it from his left foot to his right, and then he skies it. It's kind of like Nuno Tavares in a nutshell, isn't it? You know, his chaotic nature is why he can fashion that chance and send the United defenders the other way and look like he's about to score, but then also send it into row Z and look like he's going to concede 2 or 3 penalties a game. He needs to tighten up, and I think, or the Arsenal defence needs to tighten up, but he needs to brush up on his defending a little bit. But I think the return of Tomiyasu is going to be crucial. I think the return of Tomiyasu is going to give us that little bit of protection and solidity in the back 3 when we are building up, and Tavares will be allowed to go forward a little bit more. So I think, the return of Tomiyasu has been timed nicely, and Nuno Tavares, I think, will get that extra layer of protection he needs so he can go forward and express himself. We're going to do the roundup stats in a sec. Just want to answer one question that's been out there. Is this the worst top 4 race in years? Just want to look at what the numbers are saying, because I don't want to discredit what Arsenal and Tottenham are doing this season. Man United were expected to get top 4. The fact that they've fallen away from it so much, you know, is only suggesting that Arsenal and Tottenham have kind of been lucky to be in the race. I don't think that's totally fair. Let's have a look at this graphic here. Here's where the final points tallies of the 4th place teams have been in recent years. 2017-18, Liverpool finished 4th on 75 points. Tottenham on 71 points in 18-19. Remember, we missed out by a point, which was, heartbreaking, having not been able to pick up points against Palace and Brighton at home. Chelsea, then in 19-20, under Frank Lampard, finished on 66 points. Tuchel, who came in halfway through the season, only a point better on 67 points last season. Arsenal in 4th place with 5 games still to play, are currently on 60 points. So there's a max potential of 75 points there. But Arsenal have to win 2 and draw one of their last 3 games. Let me start again. Arsenal have to win 2 and draw 1 of the remaining 5 games to equal what Tuchel and Chelsea did last season. Again, Tuchel, was only there for the second half of the season, but everyone says that Arteta finished 8th in his first season and he was only there for half of it. So which narrative do you want to go with? So there's an opportunity there for Arsenal, and I think the point I'm trying to make is we're already at 60 points, and this is the worst top 4 race in years, I don't think has been very fair. I think the general standard to get into the top 4 hasn't been as good the last 3-4 years. But while I say that, the quality of the league has gone up. I mean, I look at Southampton, who have been in terrible form recently, but I saw the football they played when they won and drew at Tottenham and Man United. I've seen Brentford the other day, looked very, very good. Crystal Palace, Leicester. We know they're not having a good season. Look at the quality they possess. Tielemans, Maddison in midfield. It's a very competitive league. Don't write these teams off. And I think this will be the norm now. It's going to take probably 72 to 65 points to secure the top 4 in Champions League football in the coming seasons. And that is just a reflection of the competitive nature of this league. Maybe it's a reflection of Arsenal and Tottenham not being very, very good. And maybe that's a part of it. Because I think the Liverpool sides that got the top 4 in 2017 and 2018 are better than the 4th place sides of the last couple of years. I do think that, but I do think as well that the quality of the league has gone up, and look at the managers we've got as well in this division. We're going to end on some comments and some roundup stats. AISC says, James, I don't think how good we are performing this season. Doesn't think we're doing very well. Mojo says Spursy incoming anyways. I hope not. I hope we don't do Hope we don't do a Spurs. I hope we keep our cool going into these final games. It's Amen says Newcastle playing very well. Yep, that's going to be a very difficult trip. That's going to be a very, very difficult trip. Penultimate game of the season. Bai says, well, we can't be having a raw Tavares next season if we're playing Champions League. You'd hope that he has ironed out some of those errors come the Champions League if we get it. Let's end on some roundup stats. As always, Graham sends them in. Love and shout out to Graham. As I said, we wouldn't be having this show if it weren't for him and kind of what he built all those years ago. But also just the stats he sends in. Even last night, he knows he's not going to be on the show and he still sends in loads of stats, loads of work, because he really cares about it, guys. So big shout out to Graham and the work he does for this channel and for this show in particular. Let's fly through these. The roundup stats. Arsenal have now won 5 of their last 7 games versus Man United at the Emirates, winning 5, losing 1, drawing 1. Yeah, it's been a tough place for United to go in recent years. Nuno Tavares is the first player whose first ever goal for Arsenal came versus Man United since Freddie Ljungberg in September 1998. Bukayo Saka is the first Arsenal player to win a pen and score the resulting spot kick in consecutive Premier League games since Ian Wright versus Villa and Spurs in April 1995. Lovely one there. Only Bukayo Saka has had more touches in the opposition box than Nuno Tavares against Man United. So this is why I mean, Nuno Tavares gets forward and causes problems. At least he gets the opposition thinking. No fixture in Premier League history has seen more missed pens than Arsenal versus Man United, which is 7, level with Arsenal versus Liverpool. Arsenal have only failed to score in one of the last 16 Premier League games versus Man United. That's a lovely stat, that. And finally, 30% of Granit Xhaka's Premier League goals have come against Man United, and all 10 of his Premier League goals have been scored with his left foot. Man of the match performance and a redemption performance as well from Granit Xhaka. He was absolutely fantastic. As I said, a big thanks to Graham, who sent everything in as well, helped build the show. It's a massive help. So yeah, big up to him. And to all of you who've been watching the show, smash a like if you enjoy the show, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And you can be kept up to date with all the content that's coming out. Buyers Premier League shows coming a little bit later today, and probably a live show as well. So have a little look out for that. Ty is in the building as well. I know he's looking forward to discussing this, especially on the back of Arsenal putting together some big wins. Max says, "Can we not scapegoat Nuno, please? He's a quality player who gives me Trent Alexander-Arnold vibes. Good going forward, but defensively needs to work on it. Good win against United, though. Love from Sydney, Australia." Thank you very much, Max, for the super chat. And Trent Alexander-Arnold vibes might be a little, I don't know, a little high in terms of praise. But I know what you mean. Very athletically gifted. He is good on the ball. I wouldn't say he's great on the ball, but he's definitely exciting going forwards. And I really like when he drives into space and commits defenders and tries to cause problems. And the goal he scored, it's not fluke. It's, he wants to get into the box. He wants to be adventurous and score goals. And he gets his goal through endeavour and willingness and, yeah, just the quality he possesses going forward. So well done to Nuno Tavares. Guys, we're going to round it there. Well done to Arsenal. A massive, massive week. Well done to Mikel Arteta as well. To round it off, it was won and the points were collected, I think, because of the return of Mohamed Elneny, his partnership with Granit Xhaka, and just that foundation in midfield that has allowed the forward players to go and express themselves and do what they do best. I haven't mentioned Eddie Nketiah. That might feel criminal because he's put in a real shift. 2 great goals at the bridge, or lovely finishes anyway. And I thought a performance against Man United that asked them questions and kept the defenders on their toes. So well done to Eddie Nketiah, was superb as well. Could have spent time talking about him, could have spent more time talking about Martin Odegaard as well, but we just don't have all the time in the world. Buyers Premier League show is getting ready to record now, so I'm going to leave you there. Big thanks as always, and we'll see you next time.